journaling time.
What is up, party people? All right, so we got a few
Hello.
people in here. If you're wondering where our music is this evening, we're doing something a little bit different. My dog would hate it. He loves routines, but we're breaking the routine this evening. And every now and then we throw one of these more ambient backgrounds on. I got to be honest, and just I'm not feeling my usual funky self, and I'm creating the space that selfishly I need for this. But I think you'll enjoy it. I think the waves are nice and relaxing for everything. So we got Melissa's in the house, and that
Hi,
makes me really really
Melissa.
happy. What's up, Melissa?
Hi, Melissa.
And yeah, it's good to be back. We were on hiatus last week as I was in Indianapolis, Indiana, first time ever. I'd never really been there before, and so that was neat. It was very sprawled, spread out, and much quieter pace than what I'm used to here in Los Angeles. See, we got Norma joining us. What's up,
Hi,
Norma?
Norma. Hello.
And yeah, I'm really, really glad to be back. I missed my family deeply while I was gone, and that was an interesting thing for me. Alex, I'm not sure if I had actually been away from the family since we been married,
Not,
not
I
for
don't
not
think
for like an
yeah.
extended period of time like that. And so yeah, I deeply missed my family, so it was really nice to get back. And tonight we've got a really great program for you. I'm really excited for this one. We actually meant to do this one a couple weeks ago, and due to just all the chaos in the world and everything, I needed a mental health day, and so I was excited to come back. And you know, I'm starting to realize that life doesn't necessarily go with the schedule that you have planned, and it's I guess somewhat related to this evening's theme. So let me go ahead and share what we've got for us this evening. We've got a program for us called Unpacking Assumptions. And originally, when I put this program together, I was just thinking about how often it is that I'm surprised in my life. Oftentimes for the better, particularly when I make assumptions that might be negative or just, not necessarily allowing for the space for things to occur as they naturally do, and sometimes I'm pleasantly surprised. And the other thing that I've learned is that sometimes life will deal you an unexpected hand that you may deem as negative. Just full transparency, Alex and I are kind of in a weird mode today. Yesterday we got some pretty troubling news about our pup. Pretty rough diagnosis, and with that, I think this program feels eerily timed for me because, when you get a scary medical diagnosis for yourself or for a loved one, um, it's so easy to make all these assumptions. And, the fact that it came, that it surprised us, this diagnosis, right? It's, inherently that meant that we were making some assumptions with that. And, one of the things that I'm is coming to mind for me right now is a then saying, who am I to say what is good or bad? And ultimately, I think we don't necessarily have the perspective to make assumptions correctly in a healthy way, and nor are we in the perspective to be an adequate judge for those things. And so, there's life is going to keep happening, and if we insist that it happens our way, we're going to have a bad time. Whereas, well, potentially, but I think that if we can dig into our assumptions a little bit, sorry, my throat's really dry. If we can lean in, if we can unpack our assumptions a little bit, we can kind of see what is going on under the hood, as we so often do in these journal party sessions. And just see how we're, how we're aligning ourselves and orienting ourselves in this world. And, when something unexpected happens, then I think if we're in tune with that, we're much better equipped to navigate through these things. And, like I said at the beginning of this, on a, with a more positive tilt, I think, it's good to be open to being positively surprised. And so I hope that wasn't too vague for everybody, but a bit of a vulnerable share for us. Just I think that at this point, we've got a lot of regulars in this community, and um, the temptation for me, because I'm going through some challenges, we're going through some challenges right now, was to maybe not do this. And we did that. We took some space a couple weeks ago, but I think that I actually wanted to lean into tonight because I'm so proud of this community that we have. And, as much as I know you guys all come here and, you know, um, you get something out of these prompts, I really do too. And it's not just, to be a YouTuber or, put on a show, although I certainly love to do that. But I'm really proud of this community that we've built, and I just knew that if I showed up authentically tonight, that it was going to be helpful for me. And taking a look at some of these prompts before I fired up the session this evening, yeah, I'm gonna do my best to be brave here. And that's not to say that this is going to necessarily be a deep program for everybody this evening. I didn't originally write it with those intentions, and so don't be scared. But I think that what I'm really proud of here is that we've created a really safe space for all of us to, unpack what's going on underneath the surface, and from there, look, I always like to mention that I am not a mental health professional, and so I can be your friend on here, but I can't be your therapist or your counselor. That said, we have an amazing mental health advisory board that consists of these mental health professionals, and so they advise us on the creation of these programs. So I do feel confident that I'm not leading anyone astray. That said, if you come up with anything ever in any of our programs that is, perturbing or something that is difficult for you, I always encourage you to be brave and see, what's going on there. But I want you to also be intentional about these things. And if you do come up against something that is particularly difficult, that's great because you've written it down. You've got a record of that, and you can bring that to, one of many mental health professionals out there who's capable of serving you further and helping you really, unpack all of that stuff further and deeper in a healthy way. So, with that said, I did prepare a couple of things that I wanted to say about the program tonight, although it kind of just went off the cuff there. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna actually ditch the thing that I wrote because I feel like we're adequately set up here. So anyway, taking a look inside of the chat, it's really good to see that we got some people showing up. I didn't send out the email tonight because I didn't know if I was gonna if I was gonna be okay. I think I'm all right. So I'm glad you guys are all here though, and I guess you probably maybe hopefully got the notification in the app or whatever. But it's if you found your way here, I'm super grateful that we can share this space together. So awesome. We got Grant's Pass in the house. We might have to be taking a
Welcome,
little trip up
Jen.
there soon. Charlene is here. We got Chanda
Hello.
here. Gabby, all the usual
Everybody.
suspects. Linda's here.
Yes, hi,
And
Linda.
honestly, it's really making me feel better. So I
It
really
always
appreciate you
does.
all.
Yeah.
Tina's here. Hello, hello. I'm glad you made it. And Melissa's giving
Thank
hugs, and
you.
Sandy says hello. Awesome. All right, so let me get us some more real estate here for our program. Um, Hopefully, everyone's ready to get started. It's 10 after, so I think I've been yammering on for long enough, and we'll get this party started. So, Alex, I'll be the odd one. I'll take the odds. And so, if there's anybody new in the house, just so you know, Alex and I will take turns. Hello, Shella. um, Alex and I will take turns reading the prompts and journal along with you, and then at the very end we can all hang out and kind of unpack some of these things and share our insights together. And this is like I said, I'm really proud of this community for being the way it is. I love all you guys so much. So I'm actually you know I was afraid of tonight, but I'm looking forward to it. So that said, let me get this party started for us. Here
Yay.
comes unpacking assumptions. All right, so prompt number one, hidden beliefs. What is something you believe to be true that you've never actually questioned? Just start writing.
Automatic thoughts. Describe a recent situation where your initial reaction was based on an assumption.
The other side. If someone else were in the same situation, what might their assumptions be?
Evidence check. What concrete evidence supports your current assumption?
Alternative view. What is a completely different way to look at this situation?
Unspoken rules. What assumptions do you make about how others expect you to behave?
impact of assumptions. How might holding on to this assumption be limiting you?
Shifting perspective. If you were to let go of this assumption, what new possibilities might open up?
Trusting intuition. What does your gut feeling tell you, separate from your assumptions?
Embracing uncertainty. How can you find peace in not always knowing the absolute truth?
All right.
You did it.
Oh, we made it. Man, that was that was tough. Not gonna
Hmm.
lie. But also really powerful for me. Yeah, Melissa says this is a heavy one. We need bigger group hugs for sure. Virtual group hugs for everyone for sure. Yeah, I mean, I've been chewing on all these thoughts for the past 48 hours, I would say, and I guess I should say more like 24 hours. But yeah, there's a lot of opportunity to shift perspective in a way that's positive, I think. And I think that I had a few recurring themes here. And one was just that when you make assumptions, you're doing that thing where you're projecting yourself into the future, which can be useful. It can absolutely be useful to try to predict things, and I don't want to discount the utility and benefit of that. But it also has the potential to not only pull you out of the moment in the present moment where that's where life happens, and that's where you have the opportunity to show up in love and gratitude and um, positivity, and all of the good things. I mean, as well as the bad things, right? But if you're intentional, I think you can choose to show up in a more positive way. Whereas when you're making assumptions, it's easy to get attached to a certain outcome, and maybe that outcome happens and you feel great because you predicted it, or maybe it's different and it rocks your world. And it's this whole life is a great mystery, and I just think that I think that what was coming up for me is that I need to lean into that because. As I mentioned at the top of this, so often have I've been surprised at how much better things were than what my assumptions were. And as far as like embracing uncertainty, um, I think that well, for me personally, it helps to lean on my faith, and that's helpful for me. But also just trusting that what got me here, which is here to me is a beautiful life filled with so many blessings. Um, just a beautiful wife, beautiful family, just amazing opportunities to impact the world with the things that I do in my work. And um it's I think that it's done right by me. And it's real easy to kind of zoom into a moment and feel a certain way about it. The circumstances can be intoxicating, and when you zoom out, though, you get so much perspective. And there, I think the reality is that this is a, a really, really big adventure. And you can judge it good or bad if you want, but one thing's for sure is that it's impressive. This whole thing, this whole ride that we're all on together is what a trip. And there's a lot of beauty in that. And not to say that we need to be positive all the time. I think that's a trap that some of these like self-helpish communities can kind of get into, being like the toxic positivity. And hey, I'm not trying to shake anybody off of positivity by any means, but you know ups and downs. Alex and I were talking about this concept of like the wheel of fortune last night. Not like wheel of fortune, but if you were to imagine yourself as maybe a bug riding on the spokes of a wheel, Sometimes the carriage that wheel is on, might stop in the mud, and you might be in the mud. Sometimes it stops on top, and you know, ultimately it keeps turning, and we keep learning from that. And so, yeah, I had a lot of deep stuff in here. Alex, is there anything that was coming up for you that you wanted to share?
Well, it's very beautifully said, Alex. So thank you for sharing. Yeah, obviously, as we mentioned early on, we're dealing with some unfortunate news about our best friend, and of course we've made all sorts of assumptions over the past 24 hours, but I'm really leaning into the fact that at this point we have time. It's borrowed time, but it's time, and I'm all about really embracing this time where he's in good spirits and everything is, appears on the outside to be okay. And there's so much life to be lived, at this point in time, and with our little fella. And I just really am looking forward to embracing the time we do have and making the most of it and creating beautiful memories. And we also talked about how sometimes illness or unfortunate circumstances, like it, as awful as they also lead to some of the most beautiful memories and beautiful circumstances, because you just know how precious everything is. So that was it for me. And I do have to say, if anyone hears tip tapping or squeaking toys, today I let our pup hang out with us, and it's past his food time, and he is mad about that. But
You broke the
but
routine for sure.
but he's a sweetheart, and so I apologize if I'm just it's because I am. He's running around me. But yeah. So again, thank you everyone for being gentle with us and allowing us to just kind of be in our space. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what everyone
Yeah,
else
well,
has to say.
and looking here, I mean, look, I'm glad, Shannon. I see it went darkly political for you. I think it's kind of funny, and
Yeah.
truth be told, that's kind of where my headspace was at when I created this program. Without jumping into the specifics of all of that, the world is a really crazy place right now, and it's really frustrating. But I think also, a lot of those frustrations are due to some of the built-in assumptions that we have around all of these things. And so, it sounds like you got a little bit off of your chest, and that's always great. It's always good to shake out some of that head garbage, as we call it. And yeah, I mean, one thing that I can share with regards to that is like, well, you know, like I said, my headspace was all in that. And so I was making all sorts of assumptions for what my world was going to look like for, the next week, month, year, etc. And, a lot of it's heavily tied to these, macro events, just people going crazy online at each other, offline at each other. I mean, it's wild. It's super wild. But one of the things that emerged for me in the challenge that Alex and I are facing currently with our pup, is it really kind of like broke the simulation for me. It broke the matrix. It busted me out. And not to say any of that stuff is like inconsequential or unimportant. And I do think we all have a responsibility to show up in society in a way that's constructive. But also, I mean, what what was just coming up for me was just how easily it is to have your whole world commandeered by these larger forces. And like look, if with when faced with potentially losing my best buddy, like my baby, it's like suddenly all that noise, like it went really quiet, and it was really 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 clear for me what was important. And the other thing that I had, this is somewhat related, but something that I've just been personally struggling with lately is that how crazy everything is, and like how much of it is all happening at once. And I was telling a friend this yesterday, which is just that it doesn't feel real. Like it's almost it's like really disorienting, and it's hard to like figure out like what is real and what is true, and when all of that noise is happening. And when faced with this, it's like, I'll tell you what's real. Love is real. And you know it's real easy to let other people convince you that we need to orient ourselves in anger and hate. And certainly there's certainly negative emotions are part of the human experience, but I would challenge the assumption that any of that is productive. I think that all of the great work that humanity has done, and all the great things that humanity has built, that really lasts, is a work of love. And it's one, not just "I love you, you're my girlfriend," that kind of love. It's a deep love that, um, I think it runs. It's a current that runs through all of us. And you know, every now and then something will break your world like this. And it, on one hand, you can assume it's going to be terrible, or you can challenge that assumption and say, like, what is this showing up in my experience for to teach me? And so you know kind of a double-edged sword in our situation, because it hurts like hell, but it only hurts like hell because we love so much. And that realization is a huge blessing. So
And babe, to add on to that, I know I just saw Gabby mentioned it, but RIP to Jane Goodall. What an incredible human with an
oh
incredible
man, right.
legacy, and that those are the type of people we need to be looking up to and listening to, and those are the wise individuals
Well, and talk
that
about
are
an
worthy
example
of,
of love, right?
right? Absolutely.
To love all of God's creatures. It's so easy to. It's. I mean, obviously, we've got enough human drama to go around, but to really find love and compassion for um, the the wealth and breadth of experiences that this life presents to us. Really, really powerful stuff, and we can really learn a lot for sure from people like that. See, Gabby says, one of my assumptions is being targeted in the disabled community. Yeah, I mean that's something I don't even think about, right? And it's like your whole experience it must be so different, and all sorts of different sets of assumptions. And while I haven't walked in those shoes, it's I appreciate when folks from different walks of life call out their different experiences, because I think that there's a lot we can learn from that. And you know hearing something like that, like obviously I hope that you can find ways to check those assumptions, and find healthy ways to engage with the world. But also there's a lot of assumptions are born out of some sort of information. And so I wouldn't ever deny that that experience is real for you. And it makes me reconsider how I present and show up in the world, because I I think that the last thing I would want is for someone to feel targeted, because they were different. And so I think that as someone who doesn't necessarily share that direct experience, I can certainly learn from it, and because you were kind enough to share, so appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you,
Shanda says,
Gabby.
"Love you
Send the
guys. We love
messages.
you."
Okay, Dad.
Good. We got some love going around. Appreciate it. And scammers as well. Yeah, lots of scammers going on these days. Oh, it's gonna get crazy. You guys, I was playing with the AI tool my brother sent me yesterday, and like it's real people saying like real stuff, and it looks so real. So like,
Yeah, it's so scary.
I mean, I like some like I guess not somewhat tangential here. Like I I knew that I was going to be in a different headspace tonight, and I was, worried about maybe showing up in that space here. But also, I think it's really important that we, have these spaces where we can show up and not be the Instagram version of yourself. It's not real. It's not real. What's real is all of this, us, digging deep into our experience and emerging with insight and sharing and growing and loving and that I think that yeah, scammers be damned, but uh you know I'm grateful that you guys were willing to share this space and allow me to be authentic in it, and I know Alex certainly appreciates that as well. So like, look, with all of this stuff is only, in my opinion, spinning out of control because we allow it to. One of the things that I was touching on in some of my entries here is just that it the I think this one came out of the one where it was like, asking what you think people expect of you and how you might show up or whatever. And I think it's useful for all of us to have roles. We've talked about this before, but like, it allows you to kind of coast, go on autopilot a little bit. Like, I don't necessarily need the Starbucks girls trauma dumping on me. That's a weird example, but I think that I don't necessarily, I rely on the fact that she's going to ask me the questions I know she's going to ask. It's transactional, and we get it done, and we move on, right? But if you're not careful, you could get absorbed into these roles and these masks, and you can become a different version of yourself, and it can become out of alignment with the truth of the matter, and also prevent you from being present. And so, maybe you don't need to be 100% present while you're ordering your Starbucks or whatever, but you know we get really comfortable with that. Technology makes it really easy for us to assume these roles, and rely on how we present in a certain way. And um, also, just like, these algorithms are super fine tuned to take you on a ride. That they're designed to capture your attention and hold on to it. And they've unfortunately learned some very unhealthy patterns, in my opinion, to pull that off. And if you're not careful, it can commandeer your experience, and it can be pretty disorienting. And so I think it's really great that we have space like this where we can just show up and be who we are. We can journal and, like, actually see what how we feel. Like, you ever notice, like how everybody kind of just has, like, the same templated language online now? Like, it's like, does anybody have an original thought? I mean, sure, we all do, right? But I think it's a hot commodity these days. And I think it's always good to break out of that autopilot or that sleepwalking kind of mode, because eventually you wake up, and right, if it can be pretty disorienting. And so sharing some experience there. But yeah. um Okay, Sandy says there's too much noise. I've been very sensitive lately to acute noise. I hope that's not in reference to the background sound. But, but yeah, I mean, I can certainly relate to yeah, just like all the like the noise that is just constantly being blasted via all sorts of kinds of messaging. Melissa says, unfortunately, we cannot truly recognize the good and the love without some swings to the darker times. Yeah, yeah.
100%.
Alex and I have been getting super philosophical and trying to handle our stuff, and we were talking about that last night, right? Where like, there's a lot there's a lot of people who would suggest that maybe there's a sense of oneness, maybe there is only one thing. But how's one thing supposed to understand itself without something to compare it to? And so maybe we pretend that there's another thing, and that there's good and bad, and maybe it's all just one um big beautiful cosmic thing. I don't know. I don't know. Don't believe anything I say. Linda says, yes, love is real and true. That I believe.
100%.
And Sandy says, healing
Thank you,
thoughts to you
Sandy.
and your fur baby. Yes, please. I know there's mixed feelings out there these days about thoughts and prayers, but we'll
We
take all
want
the
them.
good juju we can get. So, yeah, may not stop other problems, but
Bowie says thank you. He's in good spirits
yeah.
and he's doing real good right now. So he says thank you so much.
Hey,
And he
Bowie,
is so mad about what time it
don't
is
worry,
and how
buddy.
he is.
We'll feed you in a minute.
I
I'm
know.
kidding.
I was gonna step away, but we'll get to him in just a minute. But very appreciated, Sandy.
Gabby says, "Look at me. I never found love. I have love for animals, friends, and family." So you did find love, you know? I
You
mean, love
did,
shows up in
yeah.
so many different ways, and I'll tell you what, the love that I feel for this pup, just showing up as in its rawest form is real. It is real. And
100%.
so maybe check the assumptions that you have about, about that love, the not having found it, because it sounds to me like you did. And also, if
There's always
if
time,
if you're
Gabby.
looking for love, yeah, like don't assume
There's
that it's not in the cards for you. I tell you what, that was the beginning of my vows for Alex. When I met her, I really didn't think that a love like that and a marriage like that was going to be in the cards for me. And I was pretty hardened. And I think that's something that was coming up for me here too. Is like these. I mean, like some of the negative assumptions that I was having were really, I could feel it. Like, oh, like I'm gonna put on this, this just the gauntlets, the armor, all of it, and really guard myself so that I don't get hurt. And you know, what I actually found was when I let that go and was willing to be hurt and feel it all, it actually felt beautiful and amazing, and really showed me what our little fur baby means to us. So, all right, guys, it's getting late, and this boy needs to eat. So, I
he's got a
appreciate all of
schedule to
you.
stick to.
Yeah, he's got a routine. He's making assumptions. He assumes dinner is ready. Hey, we see how
Yeah.
his head turned when I said dinner. Um, Folks, thank you so much for holding this space for us this evening. And
Thank you.
I apologize if some of the song and dance isn't there, and it'll be there. I promise. Life's going to present us with waves. That's kind of why I wanted to have that background. And sometimes these waves can knock you on your butt. And you know what? I've been knocked on my butt a few times, and I know that I get up and ride a few waves as well. And so, it may not be the season to ride those waves for me, but I do know that as life goes on, as the moments pass, as the feelings pass, that there's really great plans in store, not just for me and Alex, but for all of us here, and really great plans. And I think that yeah, thank you. That's all I
Thank you
got.
for showing up. We love you guys. Thank you so much.